Hi, my name is Shay, and both of my sons attend Speech for Success. One is there for OT and the other one's there for speech and OT. So I got my son's diagnosis a little late. I knew there was something going on around like 18 months, but because he was extremely intelligent, we were always told that it might not be autism, he's just sharing characteristics of autism. Children with higher IQs tend to do that. And it was really difficult because in my heart of heart, I knew something was going on. And at about age 3, he had a meltdown and we got a diagnosis for autism. That's when they told me your son's gonna need this many hours of SLP, this many hours of OT, physical therapy, ABA, and I had no clue what those things were. It took me almost a year to find Speech for Success. Found there was one other place, but when I went in there and I saw how they were with the kids, it wasn't our vibe because my son didn't feel comfortable and I didn't feel comfortable with the way they were teaching. I believe every parent should feel comfortable, and I think any therapy should be child-led. So when I found Speech for Success, she was amazing, Sydney was amazing. It was very child-led. They were very patient with my child. They took time, because for him, because he's nonverbal, it took time for him to transition and to trust a person, and they gave him that option and they helped him adjust, and it was just wonderful. And they kept me informed. They taught me, which I think most therapy places should do, whereas other ones are experienced where parents weren't allowed in. We weren't told much, we weren't educated, we didn't know what was going on. I learned about Gestalt language processing, that's what my son is. I learned about apraxia, I learned about what nonverbal really meant because my son has such an extensive vocabulary. So I researched ABA and OT and PT and speech and how they were connected to autism, just so I knew what to prepare for. And when I went on YouTube, I found so many parents that were just talking about their experiences. And then I found communities and I found people within my community, and I spoke to them and asked them about their experiences, what they would suggest as parents on how I should approach these therapists. And a lot of them said, go with your gut and trust your instinct. There's other therapists out there. Find the one that fits your child and your child's needs, because that's you're going to see your child progress. They're very organic in their approach and they educate the parents. So every time I had a meeting or every time my son had a session, either of them, the therapist would come out and say, we did this and this with your son. Try this at home. Even when I wasn't in session, I would get emails from Ella and AJ and Sarah saying, hey, we thought this would be great for your son. Why don't you try this out? Why don't you do this for your son? So they were very focused on really helping your child. So with my eldest, he has ASD. He was diagnosed with Asperger's, but they said he had ASD. He would say things like, mama, milk, if you want milk, or chicken, things like that. And then now with speech, he's saying, mommy, I want milk. Mommy, I want warm milk. Mommy, I want chicken nuggets. No, mommy, I don't want those chicken nuggets. I want Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. And he used to never be able to say no. It was always yes, but we couldn't understand it. And before, what I would do is he's an amazing writer. So I'd be like, okay, do you want, let's say, a burger or pizza? He would just say yes. But if I put yes and no and wrote it, then he understood it. With Speech for Success, now he's like, nope, I don't want that. Nope, I'm not doing this. Yes, I'm doing this. He sticks up for himself. So he advocates a lot more. So around 6 months into it, I remember I put my son to bed and I never heard my son say good night, and it really hit me. And so when I was putting him to bed, I'm like, okay, I kissy to my youngest and I kissy to my eldest. You say your prayers, go to bed, and then we say good night, Train, and then say good night, Trey, to him. I went outside the door and I quietly heard, good night, mama. And then I heard, I love you, mama. And then I closed the door and then I just bawled on that floor. I was like, oh my God. My son was happier because he could speak and he could advocate, and he had these speech therapists that loved him, and he would leave being happy. My hope is that for the eldest, I remember people saying things like, oh, he might need help here and there. He might need an aid. They might have jobs for him set up through the college. They might be doing this. And I heard these from different therapists. But at Speech for Success, I never heard that. I never heard Ella or Cindy or any of them say, oh, Rafi's gonna need help, this and that. They're like, Rafi's, we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna get Rafi to where he needs to be. And that creates such a different shift in how the parents' thought is, because as mothers, we're always worrying, will he be okay? Will he always need us? But when you have therapists that believe so much in your son, just as much as you do, it makes it easier. So now my dreams, where I see my son, where I know my son is going to be, is graduating, speaking valedictorian, who knows, saying, mommy, I made it. I did it. I defeated all odds. And I can owe it to, the therapists for believing in my kid. I mean, because of OT, my son knows how to use an air fryer. He can take his own showers. He can tie his own shoes. He can change his own clothes. He knows how to get ready. You know, he can pack his own backpack. These are things that they said that he couldn't do, but Ella proved him wrong. Your child is nothing like what they say is on paper. Your child is beyond that. Your child, if you put all that love and thought and courage that into your child will be exceptional. I mean, they will defeat all odds. I work with children on the spectrum. I tutor children that have developmental delays. I've seen teachers say during IEPs and 504s, this kid is struggling in this area, this kid is struggling in this area. And I've been able to prove them wrong by just finding ways that they think in. We have to change the way we think in order to understand the way they think. And I learned that from Speech for Success because every time my sons are in there, whether it's the little one or the older one, they're always trying to find new ways of understanding my children. Nobody defines who your child is. They define who they are. We're just here to encourage them. It's gonna be rough, but you're gonna get there.